Whether your family is an on-the-go or a stay-at-home type, paying attention to your home environment, your unschooling nest, is important. When we talk about unschooling, a lot of focus goes to how we interact with our children, and that is the priority. But the setting can help you too. It can set the stage for success. I'm Sue Patterson from Unschooling Mom2Mom, and today we're going to talk about the idea of building a lovely unschooling nest for our families. People often want descriptions of an unschooler's home life. They want to be able to visualize what the world looks like from our vantage point. One of the things that was really important for me and for our family was that I wanted our home to be like a cozy nest, a soft spot to land when they returned from their adventures out in the world, or somewhere they could feel nourished as they daydreamed and played and enjoyed their life. When I look back at what our home was like, even though we moved frequently, some things continued from one location to the next. In trying to describe what it was like, we can start with 5 senses. If you're like me, you'd consider how it looks or sounds or smells, feels, even tastes. And if you're the type who's been fretting over planning, this might be a good project for you. Plan your unschooling nest. Now that my husband and I are retired, our nest looks a little different. Although with my grandson here a lot now, we do seem to be hitting the replay button. But during the height of our unschooling days, here's what you would have found. At the front door, I grew lots of plants in the front garden beds. It kept them right under my nose, mainly so I wouldn't forget to water. But you could brush against lavender or rosemary, and the smell would just travel with you up to the door. We had this wonderful music teacher in Davis, California, who had this gauzy curtain at her front door. The music from inside her house would waft out through the doorway. Her garden was lush right up to the porch. I never could duplicate that, but it was a lovely inspiration for me. So think about that front porch. What's out there? What greets you when you come home? What do you see? Flowers? A wreath on the door? Does the door need a new color? Is there space for anything inspiring on the porch? We have a small fountain now, so you can hear the water. I like that. And trees with birds. And in the spring or the fall, if the windows are open, you could have heard rambunctious playing and kids laughing, maybe some music in the background. Definitely a lively place. Some may want more serene. It's totally up to you and your family. So going on inside, you would probably hear music once you came in, but it would be a cacophony of sound. You would hear the theme songs for video games or maybe some old school rock and roll. You'd hear Broadway show tunes playing upstairs with Katie belting it out right alongside. Or you'd hear the sound of jumping and stomping as Alyssa was dancing along to, I don't know, Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. Of course, that gives you an idea of our time period, right? But it's all shifting. It's shiftable to now. You might hear Katie playing songs on the piano and singing along. Back then, it was lots of Phantom of the Opera or Cats show tunes. Or maybe they were piled onto the comfy couch for a rowdy game of Mario Kart. Something was always cooking, so you'd smell food when you walked in. Usually something garlicky or onions because we just love them, but also baking or yummy smelling candles. I'll be honest here, it would look messy. Depending on where we lived, shoes could be piled up at the door, coats, backpacks, whatever needed to be unloaded as soon as they came in. That would probably be there too. And dogs, you'd usually be greeted by a dog or two. They were always excited when we got home. Taste probably wasn't an immediate sense when you came in, although we did have our Halloween candy. Often it stayed in a big bowl right there near the door. And my kids and their friends, they did head straight to the kitchen to see what they could snack on or grab for a quick bite. Okay, moving on in. Let's get back to what you're going to see in my house. and in most unschoolers' homes. The messy lived-in look is what we called it, but we always wanted to do something else instead of cleaning. Some adventure always seemed to pull at us harder than the housework. Maybe you can relate. I had a friend say one time, "No flat surface is safe in your house." So true. Projects all over the place. Back then, we also had a video camera, almost always set up on a tripod, ready to record. We did that a lot. So many people worry about having a clean house. Our cleaning tended to happen because we needed a surface to begin another project. My husband used to kid me that we needed to have people over every so often just to be sure that we cleaned the house. We seemed to do that more when we had guests. Guests were those infrequent visitors. The friends that came often knew that housekeeping wasn't my strong suit. As with most unschooling families, the relationships were the priority. Now, if you're someone who's saying, "Turn this off, I go crazy if it's messy," first, maybe we have different definitions of mess. Or maybe you need a little sanctuary spot away from all the projects so you can regroup and catch your breath. You can do that. Maybe I'll do another video for that because I have some ideas on what to do about the mess. So leave a comment if this is something that bothers you, or if you're thinking you might reconsider all of this because it's so messy. Hashtag can't stand the mess. Or maybe you're more of a hashtag messes are okay. Or maybe you're even more of a hashtag messes mean learning. So you're totally cool with all of it. But which applies to you? Oh, and I should mention the vast quantities of books. When my kids were growing up, we didn't have Kindles or tablets. So there were books and magazines everywhere. Bookshelves in every room. We had TVs in every room too. Sometimes on without sound, Nat Geo or Discovery in the background, ready to be turned up if something caught our eye. But all kinds of other TV too, whenever someone wanted it. Before DVDs and Netflix, we would record hours and hours of Magic School Bus, Gullah Gullah Island, Kratz Creatures on VHF. Do you remember Wishbone and Carmen Sandiego? We had years when PBS was always on. Eventually that moved to Disney Kids and Cartoon Network, sitcoms, movies, documentaries. We took advantage of everything that was available. Now on to smell. Usually that meant cooking or craft supply smells or candles. And what did you hear? A lot of busyness. We had a lot of extra people too, staying for dinner, picking someone up to go somewhere, hanging out to chat. Easy, non-judgy nests tend to attract others too. How about taste? Plenty to eat or snack on, and of course that varied based on the ages of the kids. And moving on to touch. Texturally, the sofas and the chairs were comfy, squishy pillows, soft blankets were always around for when people wanted to cuddle up or read or watch TV or chat about the day. I mentioned the dogs earlier greeting you when you first came in. We were definitely a pet family. Dogs, cats, birds. People used to tell me that it sounded like a jungle when they called because for years my kids raised cockatiels as a pet business. They're loud. Guinea pigs, fish tanks. At one point, our very suburban family tried ranch life. We did that for 5 or 6 years, and during that time, our love of animals had no limits. We had horses and cows and a bull, a donkey, goats, chickens, a turtle. Once someone came for Christmas and said, "Where's your partridge in a pear tree?" No pear trees. But we did have guineas and a mesquite tree. I guess that's the Texas version. We didn't have places that were designated for children or adults only. No rooms were off limits or dedicated to solely learning. It was all mixed together. Learning happened everywhere. Staying flexible to accommodate whatever was interesting to the kids, that's the key. No place is more important than the people in it. Knowing you can create anything you want, realizing you can change it again when life changes, that's so awesome, right? The more you focus on what's happening right in front of you, the more you'll see a structure or a rhythm begin to develop. It's not etched in stone. People change, schedules change, life changes. But I think you're more equipped to roll with it because you're not trying to make your life mesh with some outside demand or structure. When their nest is safe and comfy, they're nurtured and they can grow. Lots of learning happens outside in the world, but a lot of it starts at home. It's important to make sure your nest is a place where confidence can grow, a safe place to identify and develop strengths, even a place to retreat to when your strengths weren't quite enough, because that happens in the real world too. But this is part of building a foundation, making your unschooling nest a place where family members are happy to be. That's the goal, I think. That's the setting to aim for so learning can thrive and relationships can bring joy. So those are my tips for unschoolers and nest building. If you're new to unschooling, I have a free PDF with lots of information, free or low-priced resources, coaching options, all kinds of ways for us to stay connected. tiny.cc/new-unschoolers. I can paste that URL below, and if you click that, I'll email you the information. If you want to hear more about how to unschool, hit the subscribe button. We'll be talking about unschooling every week right here. And if you want to get notifications whenever I upload new videos about unschooling, hit that little bell icon. Thanks for listening and enjoy your nest building.